Hello, I am Dr. Roger Pearman, and I'm excited that you're interested in using the Pearman Personality Integrator. I began to have a variety of different perspectives about psychological type as it was being presented in a whole variety of other forms based on the research data that I was collecting and my practical experience with individuals, both in individual coaching as well as in classroom settings where I was doing training and facilitation. And as I look back over those lessons, a couple of things became increasingly clear to me. One was, whenever I taught the whole system, meaning I enabled an individual to get a handle on the 8 functions of type, the 4 perceiving and 4 judging functions, the more I had the opportunity to get people to see the whole system, the transformative effect was really, really powerful. Individuals up to that time usually would get a 4-letter code from an assessment tool which said, here's your type pattern. And often people would say to me, well, is there more to it than this? And that led me to think about ways to help an individual get access to the whole system. The second thing that's occurred that I think is very important is the perpetual tension between what I say is natural for me to do or what I feel comfortable doing in comparison with what I may feel I'm required to do in my work. And so prior to now, an individual would answer questions on a tool that would say, choose the one that describes you. And in programs and in coaching, people would often say, well, which context? At home, when I'm with my family or my friends, or at work in the role that I have. And as you dig behind that question, you realize it's a question of what I'm really called upon to do and required to do versus what I feel comfortable in doing. I wanted to create a tool that allowed an individual to say, come to think of it, there are a variety of these mental processes that I'm pretty comfortable with, or perhaps not so comfortable with in terms of how I utilize them, as well as what I feel I'm compelled to use as I go about my daily work. Because once we begin to see there's some things I might be required to do that aren't necessarily easy for me to do, I get a handle on the fact that, my psychological energy is really being consumed with a stretch between what is required and what is easy. Without a measurement device that give us a chance to engage in that conversation, it gets to be sort of a mystery. Another piece that, as I looked at the evidence over time, and I simply could not ignore the extraordinary power of psychological flexibility in the role of development. And there was no easy, convenient way to facilitate that conversation with any of the tools that are currently available. Any of the tools in personality, not just psychological type tools. And this notion of giving people a way to begin to understand what they need to do to enrich and enhance that psychological flexibility is vital to helping them achieve the sort of maximum use of their mental resources, and in fact to elevate the type conversation to move more toward development rather than just simply a pattern discussion of this is what I am. And I want to say a little more about that. Over the years, I've in presenting psychological type to just thousands of audiences, one of the most disturbing messages that I have heard over the years is the person who says, as we all know, I'm an extrovert and therefore don't expect me to, or I'm an introvert, therefore don't expect me to. At the moment that conclusion has been reached, the opportunity for development may well be lost. And I wanted to create a system that engaged an individual into the recognition that he or she was both utilizing extroverted and introverted energies in their own life in different ways, and often unique ways. I wanted people to be able to walk away from an assessment tool to be able to understand that it is not an either-or proposition. It is a both and proposition in the ways in which they can use all of their psychological resources.